See you guys.
Hi, Mike. How is Tua feeling based on your discussions with him last night and today? And do you have the MRI results yet?
So he was, I think that his teammates or me, I'm not sure who was most excited to see him on the plane. And he was his, he was honest about the fact that he had a headache. But his personality was definitely normal Tua. And then talking to him this morning, I think he's still feeling some of those headaches, and he's 12. I think he's probably just finishing his MRI right now, and so we'll find the results on that. That's just an extra kind of precaution on top of the CT scans and the X-rays that were taken last night.
Mike, I know, because obviously you could look at Stephen Carter and say concussions affect everybody differently. Is there a chance you guys maybe put Tua on the short-term IR just as a precaution?
Well, I mean, honestly, to be completely forthright, I'm not even really thinking about timetables or anything regarding him as a player right now. It's all about really Tua the person. That's the what gets lost in all this is there's human relationships. That these aren't just creative players. These are people that we mutually invest in, and somebody I've grown very, very close to. And so when it comes to head injuries and concussions, with things that severe, it's not the only thing I'm worried about is the person first. So, when just worrying about him getting healthy, getting all the testing done that he needs to get done, and us working with him so that we can feel good about where that injury's at, and then we'll cross the bridge in terms of timetables of however long. Really haven't even thought about that at this point.
Last night you said when you were asked about if you would do anything differently, you said no chance, pretty much. Now that you've had time to reflect, is there anything either you would have done differently or you wish any of the medical personnel would have done differently dating back to the original hit on Sunday against the Bills?
I appreciate all that, all the concern, really, just because I care about the guy, and I appreciate all the concern for the individual. What I was kind of referring to in terms of not changing anything I do is because the whole process for what happened on the Bills game was, he was evaluated for a head injury immediately. That's what we brought him under the tent for and brought him inside for. He was evaluated and then cleared by several layers of medical professionals who I don't pretend to be one, but those people, the collection of them, cleared him of any head injury whatsoever, and he had a back and ankle issue. So in terms of deciding whether or not to play a guy on a Thursday night game, I'm concerned about his lower back and his ankle and putting him in harm's way. I have 100% conviction in our process with regarding our players. This is a player-friendly organization that I make it very clear from the onset. My job as a coach is here for the players. I take that very serious, and no one else in the building strays from that. So when I'm talking about deciding whether or not to play, the only thing that would keep me from playing him would be something going against medical advice that was that would be just completely abstract. On top of all that, I had no worries whatsoever with how he, I'm in steady communication with this guy day in, day out. And we're talking about, high level football conversations about progressions and defenses and recalling stuff from 2 weeks previous, and then him having to reiterate a 15-word play call. All things, absolutely no signs, and nothing. There was no medical indication, from all resources that there was anything regarding the head. So if there would have been, of course, if there would have been anything lingering with his head, I wouldn't have been able to live with myself if I prematurely put someone out there and put them in harm's way. This is a relationship that I have with this human being, so I take that serious, and I wouldn't have put him out there if there was any inclination given to me whatsoever that he was endangering himself from that previous game.
Coach, have you talked to last night on the plane? You had conversations with Tua, I presume, and you said he brought his personality with him. Yeah. Can you elaborate for us on?
Yeah, well,
did he talk about the incident itself?
We just wanted to get him a little more space. He came up and sat next to me on the flight, and we talked a little bit about the game. I kind of was asking him questions about how he was feeling, and that happened for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then he pulled out his phone and started playing my cult favorite classic movie, MacGruber, that he watched, and was like laughing with me. And he, I think he was just happy to be with his teammates, and all of his teammates were so elated. I mean, this was a scary, scary situation for all of us. I'm sure you could tell by the way that his teammates' body language and everyone that was on the field, and it was something that did not just go away once the game restarted. So all of his teammates were absolutely elated to see him on the field or on the plane. He was elated, brought him some joy, which was good to see. Is one of the reasons you get into team sports.
Mike, you mentioned the human element of it. Can you describe maybe the last 12 hours for you, for your team, and just kind of dealing with all of this?
Yeah, it's one of those things that you recognize is part of my job. So I kind of for me, I don't do anything without being extremely accountable and hard on myself. So I can say with conviction certain things because I go back and I make sure that the due diligence was that I've done everything correctly, whether or not with all the information given. Football is a unique sport. It's one of the reasons we love it. Is there's so much unpredictability and so many variables. It's also one that's violent and can have injuries, and you really comb all things that come across your plate to make sure that you're doing right by everyone involved, specifically and most importantly and non-negotiably the human beings, the players, and to the point that I'm thinking about the play call. I'm thinking about all of this stuff. And it's hard, but I recognize that it's an important part of the job, that you don't get to dictate circumstances, and you're supposed to you need to help lead individuals to be a team. And I mean, you never want to. I don't know. I don't think you'll ever. I don't think I'll ever be comfortable. I'll ever get used to. It will never feel normal for me personally, and the type of person I am that I know you guys are just starting to learn. Is I'll never be comfortable with a player getting carted off the field, ever. It's something you never want to be a part of. And when I put myself there, this is what happens. It's not fun. I'm just really, really, really glad that he's that I can hear normal Tua in his voice, and I know his teammates that have talked to him feel the same way.
Mike,
Mike.
is there a change in the extent of his back injury? Has that been looked at? Is that still a concern?
Yeah, no, that's also part of the deal with him. That it is, you know, that and his ankle are still lingering. So those are pieces of concern for player. But again, right now it's more about person, and so we're 100% devoted to, worrying about this concussion and having him pass through it in a healthy manner, and then obviously the medical staff will be attending to those other injuries that are on the back of my mind right now.
About Tua's head, him hitting his head did not have any lingering effects throughout the week, reiterating the play calls, things like that. But still, he hit his head during that game against the Bills. Was there enough consideration maybe, taken by whether the organization, doctors, both team or independent, that Tua could possibly hit his head again? Do you think there was enough of a measurement there?
No, it's a, and again, I totally understand the concern and appreciate the concern, and when I tell you that beyond an eyeball test, which I know for a fact you guys would not be very comfortable if I was just relying on that, and not, I mean, it's the reason why we have tests. He did not have a head injury, so guys hit their heads all the time, and that's why I was adamant about, he was evaluated for having a head injury, and he did not have one. And when I tell you he was in complete mental concert, talking to us through it, and then he played the whole game, and then he did press conference, and then he did media all week, and then he did, but so as far as if I were to sit someone for a medical issue going against medical people abstractly, then when do I play him again? I don't. This was not the timing of all of it, how things played out. I get the optics. I get exactly what it looks like. I understand all of this, and I understand people's concern. But the one thing that I can exude with 100% conviction is that every person in this building had 100% the correct process, diligence, and that's why there's not there's not a player or person that you'd be able to talk to in the building that would think otherwise, because it is clear, contrite, and not something that is negotiable in any way, shape, or form.
You relayed that to Tua as well because he's a competitor. If you told him, look, until everything is clear, don't even think about being on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to him today, and I reiterated the same thing. Like, because he was bringing up to me, man, I just hope I don't miss X, Y, or Z game. And I was like, Tua, let's stop this right now. Don't even think about a game. Let's just think about doing everything the right way to listen, to get, opinions that you need, and let's worry about you and your head and being a healthy human being through it, and then we'll worry about playing football later. But I don't want to have that conversation right now. I didn't really give him that option because it was, again, that was very easy for me to do because that the shape that he was in doesn't stray from you far, again from the human element. So and I think you do have to do that to protect people against themselves in some way, shape, or form.
Coach, I know you talked about the timing of it in an earlier question. Is there a possibility with respect to long term that he won't play the rest of the year? Is that or anything that you all have given thought to?
Yeah, I can't be, or the most honest and forthright I could be is I literally have no timetable or even thought to it that feels that's where I would feel irresponsible, is even thinking about it. I just want him. I just want to, see. I want him to get all the evaluation possible. I want him to do all the things recommended from all of his all the medical counterparts, and I want him to get on the road to recovery from that as a human being, and then we'll cross that bridge. But in terms of a timeline of crossing that bridge, I have zero idea.
And Coach,
Based on what you've experienced these past 5 days, is there anything that you would suggest to the league in terms of any changes to improve the protocols for concussions?
Honestly, I from my medical understanding, with 2 unrelated events, from all the information that I've been given, 2 unrelated medical events, I don't see a problem with the protocol if there's not scientific backing to illustrate that he was suffering from a head injury. So from my vantage point, it's pretty thorough when you're talking about not only having designated people from your own organization who specialize in the field, but then you have independent neurologists advising as well. I cannot express it enough. There was this was not a case of, hey, he has these effects, but he had absolutely no head injury symptoms whatsoever once he was evaluated. So I wouldn't be able to, from this case and from this specific situation, draw anything from the protocols, good or bad, except that they are very thorough on the level of anything that has been in the National Football League since I've been in it.
Coach, so the protocol is he's not involved in any practices leading up to the Jets game, and he sits out.
No, you're in the protocol until you're out of the protocol, which.
Or you stay at home, or how's it work?
It all depends on where they're at and their significant symptoms. Whether you're sensitive to light, and there's a bunch of different stuff. I know he's he'll be back here in the building this afternoon for a second. But as far as moving forward and we're just going to do what's the best for him. And if we have any indication that traveling in a car or coming around here isn't the best thing for him, then we won't do it.
I presume the answer is yes, but Teddy would start if Tua doesn't play.
Yeah, no, Teddy would start, and guys have a lot of confidence in him, and guys have confidence in our whole quarterback room. Really, it's one of the strengths of our football team, and I think the guys rely on that. So, Tua, Teddy, and Skylar have formed a great working group, and our guys believe in all three of them.
How has Skylar come along over the last month, just observing scout team work, etc.?
Yeah, no, he's done it. Skylar's been what you guys know Skylar to be. He's just working constantly, and then when he's on the field, he'll make some plays. So he's in a great spot too. So feel very fortunate to have those two guys.
Coach, what's Xavier Howard's status coming off that injury, and do you know if you guys are going to be activating Byron Jones this coming week?
These are things that we'll probably revisit at the beginning of the week to see how the weekend unfolds. X is a competitor, a fierce one at that, and I know he's going to do everything in it to make sure that he's completely capable. And I know Byron's working his tail off, so we'll probably reevaluate that at the beginning of the week, which we'll always do, but don't really have anything for this today.
Mike, I guess you probably didn't imagine yourself in this kind of situation, maybe, football issue, but a health issue like Tua's here at the start of your career. I guess how has this kind of been for you to handle as a coach?
No, I mean, I think that's, anybody can. I think it's stuff like this that people rely on head coaches for. So I don't really know what shape or fashion it's going to come in, and what. But I don't. I don't expect to just win games and have you guys high five me all the time. I think this is something that I see as you never know what the job is going to kind of entail. It's a very demanding job, all-encompassing, but it's also extremely rewarding for that reason. And so it does surprise me, but I'd also say that I'm expecting to be surprised on a daily basis. So it's part of the deal, and it's unfortunate anytime that you have anything health related on a football team. So I don't really see it's not really about me with regarding to the health and safety of our players. It's more about the players, and that's the unfortunate part.
Thanks for coming out, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.